So let's start with the very first topic of history, which is reasons for the War of Independence. It has been divided into plenty of reasons, and every reason has sub-reasons as well. So the first reason is the political. The political reason for the War of Independence has been subdivided into other reasons too. The first being the Doctrine of Lapse. It was initiated by Lord Dalhousie, in which they decided that if the ruler dies without any natural heir, so the British would annex the land, and in that way they annexed Satara, Jhansi. It also fell to the hands of the Britishers, and it led to the extension of the British control. The second reason being the mistreatment of Mughal emperor. It was basically Dalhousie's decision to move the royal family from the Red Fort of Delhi to Qutab Sahib, and it was observed by the Indians as a great sign of disrespect. Thirdly, there were lack of opportunities because in the civil services, the Indians were not given enough jobs, and the jobs that they were given were of very lowly positions. So that also led to the resentment against the Britishers. Fourthly, they have a very strong point of resentment in their hearts, and that was that Persian was replaced by English. So basically, English became not only the official language of the administration, but it also became as the language of education too. The second main reason for the War of Independence was the religion. So basically, religious reasons are also subdivided into other parts. The first one being the Christian missionaries. So these missionaries were basically, they came to India to convert people. For example, the Indians, to convert them to Christianity, and they also had an intention to set up schools, and in those schools they taught Christianity, and they also expected the locals to give up their local religion, whether it was Sikhism or being Muslims or Hindus. They expected them to quit that religion and accept Christianity. The second religious reason was the use of greased cartridges, in which it was rumored that the cow and pig fat has been used. So cow being a sacred animal for the Hindus, pig being haram for the Muslims, so it became unbearable for them to use this cartridge, as they had to bit off the first part of the bullet and then get it ready for shot. The third reason was basically the soldiers. They were forced to convert to Christianity. So again, it wasn't acceptable to any of the Indian soldier, whether a Sikh or a Muslim or a Hindu. So they basically were forced to quit their religion, as well as some of them were forced to fight abroad, like a fight against the people of Afghanistan. So the Indians, the Hindus, they were not at all comfortable in leaving their land and going to some region which was alien to them. And they were also expected to give up their religion. So all these three sub-reasons fall in the category of religious reason for the War of Independence. The third reason for the War of Independence is the social. So in this, the first aspect is the treatment of Indians as an inferior race. So Britishers, they actually thought of themselves as a small oasis of culture, and they were the ones who were living in a society of where lots of uncivilized Indians were living. So that attitude of them made Indians feel inferior in front of them. The second reason, based on social reasons, was that they introduced new ways of life, like railways, roads, and telegraphs. So students, they might think that the railways, roads, and telegraphs were a good invention, were a positive invention taken place by the Britishers. However, it was unacceptable to the Indians, because they thought that these facilities were a source of British authority expansion. Wherever they would want, they would use these railways, roads, and telegraphs to suppress Indians' rebellion anywhere that it takes place. Fourth reason is the economic one. So number one, which falls under the category of economic reason, is imposition of very high taxes. So it basically ensured to exploit India's wealth to the full. And peasants and small landowners, they were in great stress, because they were not earning that much the way they were giving in taxes to the Britishers. Number second was the corrupt tax collectors. The tax collectors who were getting extra money from the Indian peasants and farmers, they were keeping some of the money for themselves as well in their own pockets. The third reason is low salaries of sepoys. Sepoys were basically the soldiers, the sawars were basically the cavalrymen. So officers were basically appointed from the British, and the soldiers were given, who were appointed from the Indians, they were given very low wages, and a great amount of work was taken from them. So it was not a feeling of satisfaction which resided in their heart. Number fourth one is the import duty. Basically, Britishers, they finished import duty on their goods that was being brought from Britain to India. So this policy made Indian cotton expensive, and local peasants suffered badly because the local cotton was not bought by the people, as the Britain cotton was more cheaper as compared to Indian cotton. So it was hurting them badly economically. Last one is the military reason. Military reason may you will find many other reasons which are repeated based on the religious reasons. So the first one is the sepoys and sowars, they were Indians. So it's also connected to economic. So officers were Britishers, sepoys and sowars were Indians. So there was a clash between the salaries, as well as the work which was done by sepoys and sowars was more as compared to the British officers. So this reason comes both in military as well as for economic. The second one is the greased cartridges. Greased cartridges reason we have already discussed in the religious as well, so there is no need to go with it again. And the third one is forcible conversion. So we have already studied this reason as well in the religion. So military reason, three of them have already been covered in the earlier reasons.